Welcome back, Sebastian here. So with 5 races left in the 2023 F1 season, I want to take a look at 5 qualifying battles and 4 points battles between teammates. So, one of the main things that we look at when we talk about driver performance, especially who comes on top between a set of teammates, is qualifying head-to-head, and also the points battle for the races. So I want to look at 9 total that I think still have a chance of changing. I think really haven't been decided yet. So we're going to start with qualifying, and I'm going to go in order of how close they are. So technically closest, and this is on a technicality, but Tsunoda 1, Ricciardo 1. So Tsunoda and Ricciardo 1 race apiece in qualifying. 5 races left. Of course, they haven't competed against each other since before the summer break, actually, given that Ricciardo's been out with his hand injury. But still, I think this will be an interesting one to watch. I think because Ricciardo has had so much time away, I do expect Tsunoda to win this qualifying battle. Next, probably one of the more interesting ones. So Russell 9, Hamilton 8. So this one, only one session difference basically between the two of them. I think this will be a pretty interesting one to finish out the year. I think that Russell has a decent chance of staying ahead. He's looked better, but it's really gone the momentum's really swung from race to race. The first 4 or 5 races or so, Russell looked solidly ahead in qualifying, and then Hamilton came back and looked much stronger for a while. So we'll see how this goes. I think Russell's had the advantage recently, so I think Russell will stay ahead here. Next up we have Gasly and Ocon, 10-7. With 5 races left, Ocon basically has to win 4 of the final 5 qualifying head-to-heads to really get this to a tie, and then all 5 if he wants to win outright. So for this one, it's been a bit of an interesting battle. I kind of expected Ocon to stay ahead, given that he does have a reputation of being a pretty good qualifier in F1, and with it being Gasly's first year at Alpine. But that being said, Gasly I think has done a really good job in qualifying, and he looks like he has a really good chance of winning that qualifying battle. Next, also 10-7 is Leclerc and Sainz. So I think similar to Gasly and Ocon, Sainz has to win all 5 remaining battles outright in order to win the qualifying head-to-head. That being said, I don't really think he's going to get it done. I think Leclerc is obviously an incredible qualifier, one of the best qualifiers on the grid. But that being said, we'll see how it goes. And last of the ones that are still mathematically possible are Bottas 10, Zhou 6. So Zhou would have to win pretty much all 5 remaining ones for this to really to have any chance of winning. I guess there's a session where one of them didn't set a time because that only adds up to 16. But realistically, Bottas has been a really good qualifier this year, done a pretty good job. The gap between himself and Zhou hasn't decreased, like I talked about in one of my previous videos. Between Zhou's rookie season and this year, which is kind of an indictment on Zhou, but also saying that Bottas is still a pretty good qualifier in F1. So those are the 5 qualifying battles yet to be decided. I think for the bottom 3, the driver on the left, the driver who has the advantage right now, really good chance. For here, it's still pretty close. I think Hamilton definitely has the talent, has the ability to come out ahead in that one. And between Tsunoda and Ricciardo, only 1 race apiece, but Ricciardo's coming in, still recovering, I think, from his wrist injury, and a lot less time in the car. Now we move on to the points battle, and I think what we're going to do, because this one's a bit less straightforward, I'm going to do this from most likely to be overturned to least likely to be overturned. So I think we'll start Gasly 46-44 against Ocon. So only 2 points separating Gasly and Ocon. The drivers have been very close in both qualifying and the race, showing up on both sides of the board. That being said, Ocon I think was quite unlucky at the Singapore Grand Prix, lost up about 6 points or so there. Could have had quite a few more. So this one will definitely be an interesting one to look out for the rest of the season, as it will definitely set the narrative going into next year, where both drivers I believe will be out of contract at the end of next year. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna do this one. So, Sainz 153, Leclerc, is that a 5? Yes it is. 145 for Leclerc. So this one has been pretty contentious, not necessarily between the drivers, but certainly between the fan bases of both drivers, with both drivers giving their various reasons why their preferred driver is the better driver, irrespective of points total. Sainz has been very good in the races. I think he's had a pretty good year. Leclerc's had pretty good highs, but the lows I think have been quite a bit lower for him. And you know, much of the debate about this online is about the understeering nature of the Ferrari. That being said, only 8 points, that's basically a 6th-place finish. A DNF here or there could easily swing the momentum in Leclerc's favor. 5 races to go. We'll see how it goes. I do think Sainz is still going to be the favorite to hold on in the points battle, but I wouldn't put it past Leclerc to come out ahead at the end of the year. Next, we have... okay. I'm going to do this one. Sonoda 1, Ricciardo 0. So, points head-to-head, 1-0 in favor of Ricciardo, that point being scored at the Belgian Grand Prix. 5 races to go, AlphaTauri has upgrades. They've been right on the edges of points last several races. They look like they might have an outside shot of getting points at some point. What clever wordplay there, but might have a shot of getting points in the remaining 5 races there. You know, Ricciardo, I expect the deficit to be a little bit bigger in one lap pace than in the race, just given how fine the margins are in qualifying. And you know, if he has a really good race, a bit of attrition, he could easily somehow end up ahead of Tsunoda in the points head-to-head. Similar to Lawson, somehow grab a 9th place finish, an 8th place finish. Tsunoda gets a bit unlucky, no points, lots of 11th and 12th place finishes. He could easily come out ahead. Now the last one I want to talk about is Bottas and Zhou. Bottas 10, Zhou 6. For this one, I think Bottas, given how poor the Alfa Romeo has been this year, 4 points is a pretty big hurdle to get over. That being said, you know, kind of similar to what I said about the AlphaTauri, all it needs is one crazy race where Zhou gets a 7th and 8th place finish, and it's tied or even ahead in his favor. That being said, 4 points is still a pretty big margin, and that's that's 2/3 of the points that Zhou scored so far this year, and with only 5 races to go. So that being said, I do think that Bottas is the favorite to stay ahead. So looking at all of these kind of different battles, the ones I would say are most likely to finish the other way, I would say the first 2 here, Gasly, Ocon, and Sainz, Leclerc, those I think are definitely the most likely. In the qualifying head-to-head, similar situation, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, and Russell Hamilton have the potential to switch the other way. That being said, these are pretty much all really long shots. The points, I was trying to think add a 5th one to make it 5 for each, but the other ones that were closest were Hamilton, Russell, which was like 60 odd points over 5 races. That's not happening. And I think the other one was, what was the other one? Oh, it was Hülkenberg and Magnussen. But realistically, I don't really think Magnussen's going to be able to get 6 points in that Haas over the last 5 races, given he only has 3 through the first 17 races plus 4 sprint races. So that's all for my video, looking at the kind of the remaining qualifying and points battles that have yet to be decided, and kind of just giving my thoughts. Not particularly detailed or analytical video, but that being said, I think a nice simple one to do. I'll be back tomorrow with my preview for the United States Grand Prix. Should be an interesting one, of course, being a sprint weekend and all. So I'll see you then. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Which qualifying battle or points battle do you think has the biggest chance of being overturned so far through the rest of the season? So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.